Hi, I'm Ken Navarro, and welcome to my podcast, All About the Music. This podcast is a preview of my brand new album called Love is Everywhere. This is my 27th album, and you're listening to the opening track, A Little Kiss. On this new album, I played all of the instruments with the exception of the drums on some of the songs. For this song we're listening to, A Little Kiss, I brought in one of my favorite drummers in the world, Bruce Guttridge. I asked Bruce to give me a groove that was soulful and funky and had that old Doobie Brothers Hall & Oates vibe to it. And Bruce really came through for me. He gave me exactly what I was looking for. Check it out. The second song on the album is the title track, Love is Everywhere. And this is a R&B style ballad that I really spent time working on the melody. I must have gone through, a dozen different melodies, different variations before arriving on the specific one that you hear on the final recording. So let's check out that melody. Here's Love is Everywhere. The next song on the album is called Romance Among the Ruins. For quite a while now, I've had a real strong interest in writing long-form compositions. And by long, I don't mean long in length necessarily, but long in the form that each section connects to the next section, taking you on this linear journey along the way. Yet, there's some kind of focus, some kind of glue that holds all of these different pieces together, makes them all part of a seamless composition. And that's what I attempted to do here. I decided to focus on my acoustic and electric guitars, plus all kinds of basses, fretless bass, acoustic bass, vibes, marimba, acoustic piano, a string quartet, and also even the use of voices. So this is a 14-part suite, Romance Among the Ruins. Let's check some of it out. The next song on the album, the fourth song, I decided to call Silent Storm. Now this was interesting because I wrote the chords and the groove for this, but I really didn't hear a melody right away. And I took the composition and all the tracks that I'd done from my studio in my beach house in Delaware. That's where my full studio is. And I brought it back to my much smaller apartment condo in Maryland, in the city. And I have an auxiliary studio there that allows me to write and record. I got to do everything with headphones because I've got neighbors and I can't have a real studio there. But I really started to get some ideas for the guitar. So I started to record them there in that studio. But like I said, I got to watch my volume. So I was playing pretty quietly, all acoustic guitar, of course, but I'm playing pretty quietly and touching the strings and the pick hitting the strings, not so gentle that it sounds soft, but I'm watching myself, put it that way. And that's how all of these guitars were recorded, including the solo sections, which I really let it fly, and I'm going to share some of that with you in a minute. So anyway, as we listen to some of Silent Storm, keep in mind that I was trying to have like a burning quality to my playing, but kind of quietly, hence the title, Silent Storm. I want you to hear some of my improvised solo that I played in the latter part of the song. This is where I had to really burn, but keep it under control, like a silent storm. For those of you who've been listening to my music for a while, and this is my 27th album, about 5 years ago I did an album called Music for Guitar and Orchestra. And I really learned an awful lot about how to write for an orchestra, how to quote-unquote orchestrate, what all of the instruments can do, their possibilities, their limitations. But the thing that I probably took away from that experience the most was writing for strings, which are, in my opinion, by far the most versatile and dynamic part of any orchestra. They're the heart of the orchestra. Anyway, I've continued to write string quartets, string quintets, and I've incorporated that in this album in kind of a unique way. I wrote a piece called 3 Sundays, which started off as something for a string quartet and my acoustic guitar, but morphed into something else as I realized that I could hear it somehow turning into a piece for a jazz trio and plus guitar. And then I thought, how can I put them together? And out of that came 3 Sundays, which alludes to the 3 parts of the song. The first part, which is the string quartet and the guitar, that's it. Then the jazz band comes in and I play an improvised solo with, once again, one of my favorite drummers, Bruce Guttridge, playing so great on this. And then the 2 elements come together, the jazz band and the string quartet, with, of course, my guitar riding over all of it. So let's check out some of 3 Sundays. Like so many people, I was a huge fan of Prince, and I still am, a true musical genius. There were so many things that I loved about his music, and even though in many ways it was quite different than mine, I always heard certain grooves of his that I thought, wow, I think I'd like to take that and develop it into something else, something with more of a jazz attitude in terms of improvisation, but still this groove, you know? So I wrote this piece called The View from Here. And once again, I knew who I wanted to have on drums, and it was the virtuoso drummer from Nashville that I've already mentioned, Bruce Guttridge. I knew that there were only a certain number of people who could play this, and certainly play it and be creative at the same time, because it had technical challenges. But I don't want the listener to worry about technical challenges. I want the listener to be into the spirit and the excitement of it. And I knew Bruce could do that. So let's check out some of my piece, The View from Here, featuring Bruce Guttridge. Now, originally, this was just going to end with a fade out, but once I heard what Bruce could contribute to this, I decided to give him a solo. Check it out. The first song that I composed for this album is the next one we're going to check out. It's called Sweet Talk. And, you know, when I first started writing songs for this album, I thought maybe it wasn't an album at all, and I was just going to release a series of singles. So I actually did release this song, or a version of it, a mix of it, about 6 or 7 months ago, maybe even longer. Once I wrote a couple more songs, I realized that I was working on an album, and that I'll always be working on albums. I know singles are sort of the denomination of the times, but for me, an album is like a book, and a single is like a short story. I'm much more interested in how all those short stories come together and represent how I'm feeling and what's important to me and my spirit during a particular time in my life. Now, I should mention that I always like to challenge myself with a musical challenge whenever I'm writing a new song. And my challenge on this one was to have a nice, strong Latin funky groove, but without using any drum sets or any loops. And so I decided to do it strictly with percussion. So let's check out a little bit of Sweet Talk. There's a particular drum groove that Toto drummer and studio great Jeff Porcaro used to play. It's like a shuffle, but it's Jeff's shuffle, and every drummer knows it. And I wanted to write a composition that put that great groove to use in the contemporary jazz genre. So I wrote this next one called Look Both Ways. The next three songs on the album, which close out the album, are a trilogy of songs. They're really meant to go together. The first one is called Burning Bridges, the second one is called Now That You've Gone, and the third one is called Understanding. Now, Burning Bridges, the first of these three pieces, is a blues-infused, driving electric guitar song where I have my lead guitar with some overdrive on it and my rhythm guitar with some overdrive, and then I played a Hammond B3 organ part on it as well. I used Bruce Gutchridge on drums, and I did the electric bass part. So it's very trimmed down. It's not about production. It's about heart and soul and energy and drive. And in this case, this was kind of a hard one for me. I really had to dig deep to get this and to express what I wanted to say. If you've been following me, you know that along with my acoustic guitar work, I've had a parallel road going the whole time where I'm exploring electric guitar, particularly blues-oriented things, because I just love the emotion of that. And Burning Bridges continues my trip on that journey. Now, as you're listening to this, bear in mind that what you're hearing is basically one take. However, I did many takes to get to the place where I had this kind of melody in mind and I could play loosely with it like I did here. After Burning Bridges, it felt like it was time to acknowledge that sometimes things get lost, sometimes things are gone and they never come back the way they were. And so I wrote this next piece called Now That You've Gone. And in sharp contrast to the blues, fiery band feeling that I got in Burning Bridges, in this one I paired my acoustic guitar with a large string orchestra. For the final piece on the album and the final song in this trilogy, I decided to write something very direct, very personal, and very intimate, and I decided to call it Understanding. So there you have it. My brand new album for 2023, Love is Everywhere. It will be released on April 7th. You can get it at my website beginning March 1st. And you can get it everywhere else you normally would find it: Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, etc., on the release date of April 7th. Autographed CDs are exclusively available on my website, though. And of course, I prefer you buy it there. But however you listen to it, it's fine with me. I'm just glad you're listening. Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate your support over the years. Appreciate you checking out this podcast. I hope it helped you to understand some of the things that I'm trying to do with my music in this year, 2023. And I will do some more podcasts in the near future. Please stay tuned. Love you all, and thank you. This is Ken Navarro wishing you peace, love, and happiness.